Hi everyone. So we're going to spend just 1 or 2 minutes waiting for, in case anyone is late or in case anyone hasn't joined yet. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so I think there is already a few people here, so we can get started. Um, Hello everyone, and welcome to our training webinar titled How to Adjust to a Remote Work Environment During a Pandemic. It is conducted within the scope of the Professional Communication course at Akhawayn University in Ifrane in Morocco, and it is supervised by our professor, Dr. Abderrahim Agnaou. So it is strange to absolutely no one that the world has changed drastically since the beginning of this year. In an effort to reduce the transmission rate of the COVID-19 virus, many governments and companies across the world mandated that their employees must work from home instead of going to their office. This transition was very sudden and it had to be done very quickly, so many people did not have the chance to adjust to this new lifestyle. And while the pandemic has been going around for months now, many people still struggle to adjust to this novel workplace. Therefore, the purpose of our webinar is to give you, or anyone who needs it, helpful tips on how to adjust to a remote work environment. We'd like to let you know that we will be taking any and all of your questions at the end of the webinar, at which point you can ask us using the chat box available to you on the right-hand side of your screen. Also, this session will be recorded and posted on YouTube at the end of the webinar. So, let's meet the team. During this webinar, I will be joined by my teammates, which you can see on the screen now. First, we have Karam Akrot.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for having me in here.
We also have Qatar Nada Diyar.
Hello, everyone, and I'm glad to be among you in this webinar, and I hope that you enjoy our tips.
Hiba Mzian.
I'm really happy to be with you today, guys. Welcome to our webinar.
Then there is me, Nada Bukhari, and I will also double as the moderator of this session. And last but not least, we have Nora Ali Dheim.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me in this webinar.
I'd like to let our audience know that each and every single one of us has worked really hard and has made some heavy research on our topics, and all of that to give you the best advice possible. For those who have just joined us, welcome. You haven't really missed much. We've only just did a small introduction, and now we're only at the outline. So the webinar will go as follows. Qatar Nada will kick off the webinar by talking about how to manage working hours. I will go next, and I'll try to complement her work by talking about what you can do to make your life better outside of working hours. After that comes Karam, who will be talking about the use of technological tools, which proved to be vital during this pandemic. Then comes Hiba, who will be given actionable training on how to manage your time. And to wrap things up, Nora will be given some tips on how to maintain a healthy state of mind while working remotely. Yeah, we hope that this training will be very useful for you. And without further ado, here is Qatar Nada on how to manage working hours.
So first of all, I would like to thank you, Nada, for your introduction, and I would like to welcome all our audience for listening, and I hope that you can learn from our tips. So at the beginning of 2020, like the world experienced and still experiencing like a pandemic called the COVID-19, and COVID-19 changed the world entirely. Like this virus, as other viruses, is characterized by the quick spread, so it impacted the whole world at short amount of time. And most of the countries implemented and established rules and policies in order to restrict the spread of this virus. And among these policies, I would like to mention closing universities, schools, closing institutions, organizations, imposing curfews, and also like closing restaurants and cafes. But the most important policy was imposing the lockdown. The lockdown led to the rise of many and different ways and types of communication, studies, but also many ways of working. Working remotely, it's a tool that was used like during the lockdown throughout the world. As an individuals, we need and we have to get involved and to adapt to this new situation. I know, like before COVID-19, like the workers were used to kind of go to their workplace to communicate face to face with like their co-workers, express their thoughts, and talk about their issues with their supervisors. And the workers were kind of controlled and limited by certain norms and rules and certain protocol. And also the workplace allows like the workers kind of like create like this communication and professional network, and also kind of enforcing and strengthening the communication skills, and learn how to work with colleagues and how to accept and respect other thoughts and ideas. But unfortunately with COVID-19, like the world changed, as I already said, and all the structural system was broke. So the worker was obliged to start working from home. So which means that all the rules that we already talked about were faded, but also like the communication and the interactions with others became difficult. But don't worry, we are here to give you like advices and tips that will help you to work efficiently while working from home. Like first like tip that you can see in our in the slide is that keep the same energy and mood while working remotely. The worker needs to keep the same energy, need to stay positive and motivated while working from home. But of course, you will tell me, how can we stay motivated with all what's happening around us? I can understand it's quite problematic and challenging, but we have like a solution for you. You can just find things that you like to do and do them. Hobbies, passion, learn new skills, and do like activities that you like, such as working hard, like reading, writing, blogging. Do what you like to do in order to help you to stay motivated and productive, and to create this balance between your professional and personal life. The second tip is like wearing professional clothes. Yes, you may say, oh, but it doesn't really matter. Like I will stay at home, and what is the difference? But no, like a study in 2012 showed and proved that wearing professional clothes will and can increase the concentration of the worker. So like it does really matter. But also like just the idea of like, and the impression that gives you like while wearing like professional clothes, it boosts your motivation and it does impact you psychologically. The third tip is create your private space. It's really important to create your own space and to separate yourself from any external distractions, such as social distraction that includes friends, families, social media distractions like notification of the app, the emails, texts, and other ways of distractions. The other tip is scheduling and set priority. The worker needs to set priorities and to schedule himself or herself in a daily basis. He or she needs to write down everything that he or she wants to accomplish that specific day and prioritize them. How? So for instance, if you have like a meeting call at 9 a.m., but at the same time, like after meeting call, you have a report that needs to be done. How can you deal with that? Like in the night before, you need to set your priorities. You need to organize your day and to be aware about like the certain time that we will spend like in the meeting call, and also the time that we'll spend writing your report. And also like this prioritizing will help you to decrease the level of stress and pressure that you can have while, for instance, working from home. The other tip is the importance of time. Time is a really crucial and significant like in our world, but like it's kind of challenging while working from home, and you need as a worker kind of create and organize your time efficiently in order to succeed in your work. But this aspect will be discussed more by my teammate Hiba later on. And the other tip is the use of business communication and platform. The worker needs to use this like business communication platforms. We know that with like the coronavirus, a lot of like business communication platforms became popular, such as Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Hangouts, Skype of Business, and others. Like as worker, you need to learn how to use them and to be able to use them like efficiently, because they are the only tools that will facilitate your communication and will help you in your work. The last but not the least is the use of social media for team projects. I know, like team project, like in general term, are challenging and problematic, but that is not really a big deal, because you have a social media and you can use this social media to benefit you. You use emails, vocal messages, all these different channels in order to be able to work efficiently with your team. You need to keep like this communication, like regular communication with your teammates, like by like certain deadlines, by meeting regularly, by phone calls, and so on and so forth. And I hope that you enjoyed and you learned from my tips, and thank you again for you watching us.
Thank you very much, Nada, for your input. That was very valuable. And I'd like to keep the ball rolling by talking about, let's say, the opposite side of your topic. Sorry, let me just put that Karan back on. Here he is. About the opposite side of your topic, which is what to do with your life once, how to manage your work life when your day is over. So the very first tip that I would say is that you have to clearly separate the home office from the rest of your home. What I mean by this is that you should select a room in your home and use it in the exact same way that you use your office back at your company building. So if you are living with other people, let them know that when you are inside of that room in the house, you are actually working. And if your work needs a big amount of concentration, let them know that they shouldn't bother you when you're working. And this way, you can simply engage and disengage from work by stepping in or stepping outside of that specific room. Next, I would advise you to establish boundaries between you and your supervisor and coworkers. This is actually really important because when you're working from home, a lot of time that was spent in, say, commuting to work every single day is now free time and it belongs to you. However, for your coworkers and supervisors, they might see that time as time that can be used for work, which is not really the case. So a key solution to establish these boundaries would be to use a work email and to do the same for phones or phone numbers. Explain to your coworkers and to your supervisors that if they wanted to reach you for anything work-related, they should email you using your work email or call you on your work phone. And on top of that, they shouldn't reach out to you when outside of working hours. And if for any reason they end up overstepping these boundaries, kindly but firmly let them know that you are actually not working right now. And if their request is not urgent, that you will be handling it during the next working day, whenever that is. Another useful tip is to keep your personal belongings away from your home office. This actually makes the transition from work life to personal life much easier. Let's say an item that you had in your old office or a picture of a loved one might be is okay, of course. However, do make sure not to overload your home office with so many personal items that it becomes indistinguishable from any other room in your house. Next, I'd like to say that you should clean up your workspace at the end of the day. By that I mean when you're done with work, save all of your files, shut down your computer and close it. If you have any documents, store them in a cabinet or in a drawer. And when you get up, clean your desk of any item that you might have used during that day. Finally, as you're leaving the room, if the light was turned on, turn it off. And when you step outside, if this is a possibility for you, lock the door. All of this is done to help you understand that work is done, that work is now over, and you can now move on to your personal life. And finally, avoid using your home office when the day is over. this actually signals to yourself that it signals to yourself, and it pushes you to associate work with that specific room and your personal life to anything outside of that room. That way, this transition between work life and personal life can be done very smoothly every single working day. So that's it for me. And now I'll open the floor to Karam, who will give some insight on how to use technological communication tools.
So, hello everybody, and thank you all for being here today. So, to understand what I'm going to talk about, in the simplest way, I'm going to talk about the software used during a pandemic, or how to use a software during a pandemic. As you all know, during the lockdown, the pandemic caused a drastic change in our life, and mostly in the work environment. So adaptation to this new life or work environment is necessary, so that we can all continue a normal and natural life. So in order for us to adapt, there are necessary tools that can be used in order to make working from home easier and smooth. So technology these days is making software easier as long as it develops. And develops are also introducing new software that is simple to use, even though if you are not an expert in using a computer or a phone, etc. So there are three main points that I am going to talk about. First of all, I'm going to start by talking about management tools. And in this certain area, I'm going to introduce you to three main softwares. So the first software that I am going to talk about is Trello. So just to wrap up, so most of the softwares that I'm going to talk about are project management softwares. They are tools that will help the teams to plan and synchronize their works in an organized manner. So for Trello, it will allow you to manage your projects, either if you have a small business or a homework that is done to be a project. It will help you to organize it by using boards and cards. And also it will help you by using a combination of texts, images, emojis, or file attachments that you can share with your colleagues or the people who work with you in the same role. The second software that I am going to talk about is Proof Hub, and it is a very interesting software because it helps teams to stay efficient, and it provides them with simple tools that they can use, so they can get feedback from their boss or feedback from their colleagues and coworkers. And it is also helpful in usage of time. It will also help you manage your time while using the software to work on certain tasks. For example, if you have work for the night, it will tell you before that for 4 hours or 5 hours to let you prepare for the work. The third software for management is Basecamp. So Basecamp is more like a software that is, for example, if you have a paper, you can write the to-do list. But in Basecamp, it will do more than that. It will help you to manage also your time, either by task or either by putting the tasks of the days. For example, if you have a task that you're gonna do from a week from now, it will tell you a week before that you have a task that you have to do, and it will help you to prepare it. The second option of tools that I am going to talk about is communication tools. And I have found one of the best softwares, which is introduced to all of us. And a lot of people are using Microsoft tools. And it is also another easy way to add this software to your computer or phone. So Microsoft Teams is the software that I am talking about. So as long as you are using Microsoft products, then this is just to add to your package and chat with the teammates or colleagues or coworkers. And also one of the biggest features that it has is that you can talk with more than 300 people. If you have a big class or a big office which which has many workers in it, then you can meet with a lot of them without meeting in the same place. So the last and third tools that I'm going to talk about, they are time management or time tracking applications. So it is easy to be distracted while you are staying at home. It is our place of relief in all of this. We want only to have fun, but there are some time management tracking apps that can help us manage our time and also our day on what we are going to do during the day. So the first application that I'm going to talk about is Timely, and it is not only a time management application, but it also helps in scheduling your day or your week. So it is a free application for a certain of time, but still it will help you to manage the to-do lists, for example, that you did in the management tool before that I have introduced to you. Also, I will talk about the second and last application, which is named Toggle. So Toggle is not only a time management tool, but it's also a relief application. It will between your work and things that you do other than your work, it will tell you that you need to rest. How to rest? It will give you, for example, a link to music that you can listen to do some moderation or things like that. So I thank you so much for listening to this, and I hope it's helpful for you.
Thank you very much, Karam. So we went over managing life during working hours. We also saw some tips on what to do when you're outside of work, and Karam just showed us different tools that you could use to manage your work life and your personal life. However, we still haven't spoken about time management, so I'll give the floor to Hiba, who will be talking about just that.
Thank you so much, Nada, and thank you, Karam. In my section, we will be talking about how to manage your time efficiently. So, as we all know, that during pandemics, our lives and schedules really shift, and we really begin to change the way we plan our days and the way we do things. So, even our sleep schedules get really heavily affected. In that sense, our priorities get mixed up, especially if you have children at home. There is school, homeschooling, and you have to juggle between homeschooling and work, so it's really hard. Managing your time becomes a very crazy challenge, and even might cost you your sanity. So one of the things that we tend to do when we are in a huge mess and we fail to plan our time efficiently is we tend to procrastinate. Well, in order to deal with procrastination, we need to understand, why do we procrastinate? Often this procrastination origins from the fact that we face uncertainty. We don't know what to do in that task. Especially in these trying times, we are living in an uncertain world with COVID-19 and everything that is going on. So you will find yourself struggling to finish and accomplish your work task. So you would feel so unsure about what needs to be done and to be complete in order to work. Therefore, what you can do is, if you don't have any clear guidance, go seek advice from your coworkers or your supervisor. Ask them more information and more guidance about what needs to be done. Make sure that you have a clear outline of how to accomplish your task. Make sure that you have clear knowledge of what tools to use and how you can finish that task. So just make sure that you communicate that with your supervisor, and to communicate it with all your other coworkers. So make sure that you really know what needs to be done in order to avoid that uncertainty feeling. The second thing that you can do is to plot your schedule. So plotting your schedule is basically writing everything that you need to get done in your schedule. And not only that, and also to write down any breaks that you need to take, whether you're going to have lunch or brunch with your friends. So just make sure that you write it down in your Google Calendar or any other time management app you use. You could use one of the apps that Karam suggested just now. So writing it down makes it really easy for you, and it even limits your breaks. So, and especially when it's a shared app or calendar with your other coworkers, they tend to know when you are on a break, you're taking a break, or when you are available for a meeting or to work and all of that. So plot your schedule, put it down and write it down, because sometimes we tend to say we're going to go have lunch with our family, then that lunch becomes tea time, and then we just end up wasting 3 hours of our time. So make sure to really plot your schedule. The third tip would be to designate a space. So try to find an area in your house or in your room where you could work efficiently. I think Qatar talked about this, and I will also mention it because it's really important. You have to designate a space where your where your brain will link it and associate it with work and productivity. Try to have a space where it is with good lighting. You could decorate it with things that make you feel happy, put plants, put a cup of tea, anything that would help you increase your productivity. Avoid couches, avoid living rooms, avoid places with TVs and distractions, because that could really hinder your productivity and not allow you to be at your fullest. The fourth tip would be to explore productivity apps. As Karam discussed, there are plenty of apps that you could use that would really help you to manage your time efficiently and to finish your tasks in time. They not only help you keep track of your projects, but they also help you meet your deadlines. And that's really important. We tend to forget deadlines a lot, especially when we do not write them down. There's a lot of deadlines that we have to meet and a lot of things to submit. So just make sure that you download one of those apps that Karam talked about before, and make sure that you plot your schedule in those apps, or even write the tasks that you need to get done. The fifth tip would be to dress like you're going to the office. This one, Qatar Nada talked about it too, and we would like to insist on it for a second time. It's really important. It might sound absurd for some of you. However, dressing like you're going to the office actually helps your brain a lot to work efficiently, and it links it with productivity and work. So try to wear like you're going to work and sit down in your designated area and try to work efficiently. That will actually help you. Wearing professional clothes, as I said, helps you to link your brain, to have like a mental link with productivity and professional tasks to be accomplished. The sixth task would be to treat free time like work meetings. I would like to come back to the point of plot your schedule and insist on it again. Write down your breaks. Plot them in your productivity apps, whatever app you want to use. Treat free time like there are meetings. Write them down. Make sure that you specify from which time to other time you want to take a break. So schedule them and try to not take an excessive amount of time as a break. Try to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, really reasonable amount of time to avoid wasting too much time on taking a break. The seventh tip would be to minimize your social media distractions. Now, I know we are living in a very virtual world. All of us are on social media apps, and we use them a lot. Try to log out when you are working. Try to log out of your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever app you use for social networking. Try to log out, and also try to put your phone a little bit away, unless if you need it for work calls, etc. So try to stop using your social media a lot during your work time, so that you would be productive and work very, very hard and efficiently. Social media can sometimes take a lot of our time, so the advice would be to plot it in a schedule as well. For example, after you're done with your day, try to just log in again and use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any social media accounts you have or app. So try to schedule everything ahead of time so that your brain would know what needs to be done in the day, and of course, avoid procrastination. The last point is really important, and is to be transparent with your manager. Communicate with your hierarchy. Talk to them. Tell them what are you facing in your home. Tell them the issues you have, whether you have some family to take care of, whether you have a lot of children at home, whether you don't have enough space where you can work. Really talk to them about this, and I am sure they will plan their expectations evenly and accordingly. They will try to be more flexible and to respect your time, your comfort zone, and everything. Try to communicate with your manager. That's really, really important. And be transparent. Never lie. Tell them when you can't do something, and that's okay if you can't do it, because we're really living in uncertain times, as I said, and it's fine to face hardships when completing simple tasks, and it's really fine when we face this lack of motivation, because these are really unusual situations and unusual settings. So make sure that you communicate this with your manager and tell them what hardships you face at home. And I think that's the last point I would like to conclude with. Just communicate efficiently with your coworkers and your hierarchy. And that's it. And hopefully these tips will help you to manage your time efficiently and to work very, very hard. Thank you.
I'm make use of that. Finally, here is Nora, who will give some actual advice and some helpful tips on how to manage your mental health while working remotely. I'm very
Yes, thank you, Nada, and thank you, Hiba, for sharing with us these useful tips. And hello, everyone, and thank you for attending this webinar. Um, so today I would like to share with you some major effects of working remotely on our mental health. So, from many experiences with people who work remotely, those people were exposed to many psychological impacts without being aware that working remotely can cause all of these effects. So, before the pandemic happened, people were used to a certain daily routine. For example, they wake up early in the morning and then they go to work as usual. Unfortunately, after the corona crisis happened, millions of people switched to work remotely. And I know we are all sick of these situations since we still don't know when this situation will end. So today, as I said, I will share with you some major effects of working remotely on our mental health. So the first effect that I will start with is isolation and loneliness, which comes from working for a long period. And the most people who tend to feel loneliness and isolation are those who live alone they don't interact or communicate with anyone. Unlike the work in the workplace, people there they can communicate, interact with each other. And by doing so, they create a very active working atmosphere, far from loneliness and boredom. So, and along with the feeling of isolation, most people who work remotely are probably feeling stress, because for some it's something they are not used to. They are not used to it. So. Working at home for hours due to the huge amount of working that has to be done can cause a sudden, for example, like a sudden sleeping in the same place of working, which can make people feel more tired, um, and um, and obliged to switch themselves on. Um, and all of these situations can lead to an increase in pressure. In addition, working remotely can cause depression, and here where time management play a major role in decreasing or reducing depression. As my friend Hiba said. So also there's a misunderstanding regarding depression. Many people think that depression is only the feeling of feeling down, which is not. It has many various symptoms, which most remote workers are facing. For example, like angry outbursts, lack of sleep, tiredness, and lack of energy, and unexplained physical problems, such as back pain, headache, and even if some of the symptoms that I mentioned previously were physical, but they also affect our mental health. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nora. I'd also like to seize this opportunity to extend my thanks to the research team who spent a lot of time and a lot of research on this. So I'd like to thank them for their time as well. Okay, everyone. So that marks the end of our webinar on how to adjust to a remote work environment during a pandemic. We hope that this training has been very useful for you, and most importantly, that it has been actionable. And because this is the end, we will now be taking any and all of your questions. So please, if you have anything to ask us, type it in the chat box available to you, and we'll answer them right now. Thank you once again for your attention, and thank you everyone on the team. Okay, let's see. I do believe I saw a question at the very beginning earlier. I'll try to find that. I think it was this one. This was the very first question asked. And it's from Salma Mukla, who asked, what can we do when we lose motivation while working from home and still have deadlines to meet?
May I answer, Nada?
Yes, of course. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Salma Mukla, for your question. It's really interesting. I know, like, the question of motivation, it's really hard and challenging while working from home, but it needs you need to kind of create your own like ideas. In order kind of to stay motivated, you need to work and you need to organize yourself. So that's why we give you all of these tips. And the most important thing that I would like to insist on, it's like, do things that you like besides your work. Try to find something that you love to do, and when you're gonna do it, it will give you like a boost. It will motivate you why when you will go back to work. So that's, I know, like, it's really challenging. You can lose motivation at some point, and it's normal because we are human being, and with all what's happening around us, it's really hard to keep going. But the most important thing, as I said, it's you organize yourself, try to stay positive, try to find things that you like to do, and do them like in your free time, and believe in yourself. That's why I want to say believe in yourself, because you are the one who can manage like the world around you. Manage yourself. If you manage yourself well, everything will be easy. So I hope that's my answer. Like, I hope that I answered your question.
Thank you, Nada, and thank you, Selma, for your question. Let's see if we have anything else. Mhm. Okay, here's another one. So Malika Bunaga would like to ask Qatar Nada. You talked about creating a private space. What about people who have limited space in their home and cannot eliminate distraction? Do you have any tips for them?
Thank you, Malika Bunaga, for your question as well. I know, like, this is kind of it's really another issue. Like, we're working from home, and like we know that like not everyone has like enough space to work, and does limit kind of your productivity, and decreases your motivation. But what I can suggest is that you try your best to find like a space for you. That's I think that's the thing that we agreed on, like all of us, like, and Hiba talked about, and also like Nada talked about, is right to try to limit yourself, try to find space for yourself, and try to kind of it's just eliminate yourself from what's going around you. Like, I know it's kind of hard to kind of separate yourself like from any other distractions, but it's really important to kind of create your own space. And if, for instance, if you have like just like a small space, for instance, a corner in a room, try to find like how to separate it from the rest of the room. If there are other people there, try to create like I don't know, boundaries. So I hope this will help you to stay focused.
Thank you, Nada. And thank you, Malika, as well, for your question. Okay, let's keep going. Let's see if there is any other question here. All right, there is another one. Again, to Qatar Nada. You have a lot of requests. So Sarita would like to ask, do you think that working remotely is as efficient as working in the company?
Thank you. We all have the same, like, thank you so much, Sarita. I think like personally, I believe that working like in the company and the face-to-face interaction, it's much more better than like working remotely, because like the human relationship does kind of develop like through this social and like relationship. But if like pandemics like happen, and like we don't have like any other solutions, like working remotely is the best alternative. You just need to try your best. You just need to kind of follow our tips that we gave you tonight, and I think you will be productive. But I do believe that working like in a company and the face-to-face interaction, it's much better than working remotely. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Nada. And thank you, Sarita, as well, for your question. All right, I did see another question here. Okay. Aya would like to ask, I have a question. For people who have kids, how can they explain to their children that they should not enter the home office during working hours? I do believe that I can answer this question. So for kids, I think we can sort of split them into two categories. Maybe you have very, very small children who wouldn't understand the importance of work, and they wouldn't really tell the difference between the home office or any other room in the house. perhaps a good way to make the difference for them would be maybe to attach something on the doorknob of your door, like say a little a little red string, maybe that way if the door is closed and they see that little string, maybe they'll be convinced, maybe they'll finally realize that, oh, that's I shouldn't go in there, my dad or my mom is working. And if the child is a little bit older, maybe you could attach your work schedule to the door, like maybe use glue or some pens to attach it to the door and explain to them that during this hour or during that hour I'm working and during any other day I'm free. That way they can understand that way they can see the schedule and decide whether they can go in or not. Thank you. Um, all right, I'm going through the comments again. Let's see if there is a question. Okay. There is Abir Muidi, who is again asking, there's let's see what it is. What is the main advice for people who work remotely? Nada, would you like to answer that?
Yes, of course. We have like a lot of advices, but the main advice for me is just like organize your time, because time is really crucial in that way of working. So really organize your time and schedule yourself. They go like both like side by side. So that's what I'm saying. But time is really crucial. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Abir, and thank you, Qatar Nada again. Um, let's see if there is any other question. All right. There is one by Barisul Muhammad. It's for Karam. Okay. Is there an application that can help in both time management and meeting with teams?
So yeah, as I have already mentioned, there is Microsoft Teams, which is already a great application in dealing with meetings and also in sharing files with other people. But you can add more to that because there are Microsoft packages which are applications that we are all familiar with. For example, there is Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoints. Also, there is OneNote and Outlook, where we receive our emails. But all of this is in one package. You can share your email in Google Drive. You can also share your Microsoft Word essay or written things into Google Drive or share them by email, etc., etc. So I hope this answered your question. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Karam, for the answer, and thank you, Mohammed, for your question. Let's keep going. There is another question right after that one by Yusuf. Hold on, let me put him on the screen. There he is, by Yusuf Busweb. He is asking, do you think that online work can be a good alternative, not only in this pandemic period, but in everyday normal life?
May I answer? Nada, do you hear me?
Sorry, your voice is cutting a little bit. Can you speak up?
I said, may I answer you? May I answer this question?
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay,
So,
you're good now. Go ahead.
okay, thank you, Nada. Thank you, Yusuf Buswab. I think it could be like a good alternative, especially during the pandemic, but also it could be like a good alternative if there is an issue with like that distance. You need like to have like meetings in like another like part of the world, and you have kind of restrictions, and you can travel. You have a meeting. It can be really kind of really useful. But I don't think that it can be like a long-term solution or a long-term alternative, because we do believe that that social relationship are really important to improve as individuals, but also to succeed in like a project or work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both for the question and for the answer. Let's keep going. Here is another question by Selma Mukla, and it's for Karam. Is there any other software to use for meetings? Oh, did we already? Oh, no, sorry. Is there any other software to use for meetings other than Microsoft Teams in a professional context?
Okay, so Microsoft Teams is already a professional software that is used in business meetings and college meetings, and also where teammates and colleagues can meet to discuss important stuff. But there are alternatives to Microsoft Teams, like the professional application of Zoom, which is known worldwide, and there is the premium usage of it, which allows a big number to be added to it, and also a good quality in the image, and also to share your files and documents with each other, with your colleagues and teammates. But Microsoft Teams I think, is the most professional and free at the same time, and free software at the same time. So I hope this has answered your question. Thank you so much.
Okay. Selma, I hope that his answer was useful for you. Um, Sumia Bey is asking, first she's saying thank you for this very insightful webinar. You're very welcome, Sumia. This is a pleasure. And she's asking about tips and advice that can allow us to maintain a constant rhythm of work throughout the day.
I could answer that. Thank you, Sumia, for your thank you, Sumia, for your question. The only thing that could help you to keep a constant rhythm of work would be to take breaks. Do not try to work continuously. That would really exhaust you. Try to take mini breaks, 5 minutes to 10 minutes breaks between different tasks. Try to cut your tasks into smaller tasks. That would really help you to increase your productivity. And also try to focus on the quality of your work rather than how much time you spend on work. Hopefully, if you focus on the fact that your work must be done correctly and good in a very good quality, that could help you to stay motivated rather than I need to spend 5 hours on this task or anything. So try to focus more on quality rather than quantity. And I think that's it. Thank you, Sumia.
And thank you, Hiba. Okay, let's see. Oh, here is Selma Mukla with another question for Karam. She is asking if you could explain what that you suggested. That is used as a reminder and task manager.
So your question is basically if you want an application that can be used both time. I already presented this application named Toggle. It's not only a normal management application, but also a reminder that helps you to manage your time too. For example, if you have work to do during the day, it will manage your time during the day from the morning until the night. For example, it will tell you can work 5 minutes here and then 5 minutes in the other task, and it will manage it will give you working solutions that you can follow up in order to have a smooth and it's an alternative to be good in working in your tasks without any bad decisions to make in your work, or bad decisions to make in choosing, for example, if you are writing an essay, to have bad words in your essay or bad grammar, etc. Toggle is the best application to give you an exact answer. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Karam, and thank you, Selma, for your second question. And I believe there is, let me remove this one. There is one final question from Nu'man, and he would like to ask Nora if she could please give him some tips to make mental health more stable.
So to make our mental health stable, first you don't have to blame yourself or feel that you are the only person who going through these difficulties, and be careful. Not to spend your whole day on work. For example, you have to give yourself some time for example, to practice your favorite activities or hobbies, for example, like sports, etc. And also having breaks after each hour is a very important thing. Also, you have to use social media so that you can't feel loneliness. For example, try as much as you can whenever you feel lonely to communicate with people, either by calls or text messaging, etc.
Um, okay, so yeah, thank you, Nora. Thank you, Naaman, for your questions. I do see that there is another question by Mohammed Berisol. Unfortunately, we are running out of time right now, and we can't really take your answer right now. However, feel free to send us a message in private, and we will answer it right after this webinar is over. We hope that this webinar has been useful for all of you. We hope that our answers fit your question and that you learned something with us today. Thank you very much for dedicating to us 1 hour of your time. We're very grateful for that. And we'd like to wish you a happy end of your weekend. And thank you once again for joining us. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.